Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Lila, chapter 12, verse 109. We shall be continuing our reading from Mukam Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langhete Girim, Yat Kripa Tamam Bande, Shri Gurum Deen Tarinam, Paramananda Madhavam, Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram, Hari Om Tat Sat. Nityananda Advait Swarupa Bharati Puri, Inha Vinu Ar Sab Ane Jal Bhari. With the exception of Nityananda Prabhu, Advait Acharya, Swarup Damodar, Brahmananda Bharati and Paramananda Puri, everyone was engaged in filling the water pots and bringing them there. Verse 110. Ghate ghate theki keta ghata bhangi gela, shata shata ghata loka tahan lena aila. Many of the water pots were broken when people collided with one another, and hundreds of men had to bring new water pots to fill. Verse 111. Jal bhare ghar dhoya kar hari dhvani, Krishna hari dhvani vina ar nahi shuni. Some people were filling the pots and others were washing the rooms, but everyone was engaged in chanting the holy name of Krishna and Hari. Verse 112. Krishna Krishna kahi kare ghatera prarthana, Krishna Krishna kahi kare ghatta samarpana. One person begged for a water pot by chanting the holy names Krishna Krishna, and another delivered a pot while chanting Krishna Krishna. Verse 113. Ye ye kahe se kahe Krishna name, Krishna nama haila sanket sab kame. Whenever anyone had to speak, he did so by uttering the name of Krishna. Consequently, the holy name of Krishna became an indication for everyone who wanted something. Verse 114. Premaveshe Prabhu kahe Krishna Krishna nama, Ekale Premaveshe kare shat janera kam. As Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was vibrating the holy name of Krishna in ecstatic love, he himself was performing the work of hundreds of men. Verse 115. Shatahaste karena yena kshalana marjana, pratijana pashe yai karan shikshana. It appeared as though Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were cleansing and washing. With 100 hands, he approached every devotee just to teach him how to work. Verse 116. Bhala karma dekhi tare kare pramashana, mane na milile kare pavitra bhartsana. When he saw someone doing nicely, the Lord praised him, but if he saw that someone was not working to his satisfaction, he immediately chastised that person, not bearing him any grudge. Verse 117. Tumi bhala kariyacha shikhaha anyere emata bhala karma seho yena kare. The Lord would say, you have done well, please teach this to others so that they may act in the same way. Verse 118. E ketha shuniya sabe sankuchit heina, Bhala mate karma kare sabe manadiya. As soon as they heard Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu say this, everyone became ashamed. Thus the devotees began to work with great attention. Verse 119. Tabe prakshalana kaila Shri Jagamohana, Bhoga Mandir Adi tabe kaila prakshalana. They washed the Jagamohana area, and then the place where food was kept, all other places were also washed. Verse 120. Natashala dhuila chatvar prangana, pakshala adi karila prakshalana. In this way, the meeting place was washed, the entire yard, the raised sitting places, the kitchen and every other room. Verse 121. Mandirera chaturdik prakshalana kaila, Saba antah pura bhal mate dhoyaila. Thus all places around the temple were thoroughly washed within and without. Verse 1 to 2. Hena kale gaudiya eka subuddhi sarala prabhura charana yuge dila ghata jala. After everything was thoroughly washed, a Vaishnava from Bengal, who was very intelligent and simple, came and poured water on the lotus feet of the Lord. Verse 1 to 3. Sai chala lena apne pan kaila, taha dekhi prabhura mane dukkha rosha haila. The Gaudiya Vaishnava then took that water and drank it himself, seeing that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu felt a little unhappy and was so outwardly angry. Verse 1 to 4. Yadyapi Gosani tare hanache santosha dharma samsthapana lagi bahire maharosha. Although the Lord was certainly satisfied with him, he became very angry externally in order to establish the etiquette of religious principles. Verse 1 to 5. Shiksha lagi swarupe daki kaila tanhare ei dekha tomar gaudiyara vyavhare. The Lord then called for Swarup Damodar and told him, just see the behavior of your Bengali Vaishnav. Verse 1 to 6. Ishwar mandire mora pada dhoyaila sei jal apni lena pana kaila. This person from Bengal has washed my feet within the temple of the personality of Godhead. Not only that, but he has drunk the water himself. Verse 1 to 7. Ei aparadhe mor kahan habe gati tumar gaudiya kare etika phajati. I now do not know what my destination is because of this offense. Indeed, your Bengali Vaishnav has greatly implicated me. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. It is significant that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Swarup Damodar Goswami that the Bengali Vaishnav was your Gaudiya Vaishnav. This means that all Gaudiya Vaishnavas who are followers of the Chaitanya cult are subordinate to Swarup Damodar Goswami. The Parampara system is very strictly observed by Gaudiya Vaishnava. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's personal secretary was Swarup Damodar Goswami. The next group of devotees was the 6 Goswamis. Then Kaviraj Goswami. It is necessary to observe the Parampara system of the Chaitanya cult. There are many offenses one can commit while serving the Lord, and these are described in the Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu, Hari Bhakti Vilas and other books. According to the rules and regulations, no one should accept obeisances in the temple of the Lord before the deity, nor is it proper for a devotee to offer obeisance and touch the feet of a spiritual master before the deity. This is considered an offense. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself was personally the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Therefore, it was not actually offensive to wash his lotus feet in the temple. However, because he was playing the part of an Acharya, the Lord considered himself an ordinary human being. He also wanted to give instructions to ordinary human beings. The point is that even though one plays the part of a spiritual master, he should not accept obeisances or permit a disciple to wash his feet before the deity. This is a matter of etiquette. Verse 128. Tabe Swarup Gosani tar gadhe hata diya dekha mari purira bahira rakhi lena. At this point, Swarup Damodar Goswami caught the Gaudiya Vaishnava by the neck and, giving him a little push, ejected him from the Guṇḍicā Puri temple and made him stay outside. Verse 129. Puna asi Prabhu paya karila vinay Agya aparadh kshama karite yuyaye. After Swarup Damodar Goswami returned within the temple, he requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to excuse that innocent person. Verse 130. Tabe Mahaprabhura mane santosh haila sari kari dui pashe sabare basaila. After this incident, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very satisfied. He then asked all of the devotees to sit down in 2 lines on both sides. Verse 131. Apne vasiya majhe apnar hate trina kankar kuta lagila kudaite. The Lord then personally sat down in the middle and picked up all kinds of straw, grains, and of sand and dirty things. Verse 132. Eketa kudaya sab ekatra kariba yar alpatar thani pitha pana laiba. While Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was picking up the straws and grains of sand, he said, I shall gather everyone's collection and I shall ask whoever has collected less than all the others to pay a fine of sweet cakes and sweet rice. Verse 133. E mata sabapuri karila shodhana Sheetal nirmal kaila yena nij mana. In this way, all the quarters of the Guṇḍicā temple were completely cleansed and cleared. All quarters were cool and spotless, like one's cleansed and pacified mind. Verse 134. Pranalika chadi yadi pani vahaila nutana nadi yena samudre milila. When the water from the different rooms was finally let out through the halls, it appeared as if new rivers were rushing out to meet the waters of the ocean. Verse 135. Eimata puradwara age pathayata sakala shodhila taha ke varnibe keta. Outside the gateway of the temple, all the roads were also cleansed, and no one could tell exactly how this was done. Purport. In commenting on the cleansing of the Guṇḍicā temple, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the world leader, was personally giving instructions on how one should receive Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, within one's cleansed and pacified heart. If one wants to see Krishna seated in his heart, he must first cleanse the heart as prescribed by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his Shikshashtaka Chetodarpana Marjanam. In this age, everyone's heart is especially unclean, as confirmed in Srimad Bhagavatam. Hridi antahastho hi abhadrani. To wash away all the dirty things accumulated within the heart, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised everyone to chant the Hare Krishna mantra. The first result will be that the heart is cleansed, Chetodarpana Marjanam. Similarly, Srimad Bhagavatam 1.2.17 confirms this statement. Shrunvatam swakathaha Krishnaha punya shravana kirtanaha hridi antahastho hi abhadrani vidhunoti surit satam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, super soul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. If a devotee at all wants to cleanse his heart, he must chant and hear the glories of the Lord. Shri Krishna Srinavatam Swakatha Krishna. This is a simple process. Krishna himself will help cleanse the heart because he is already seated there. Krishna wants to continue living within the heart, and the Lord wants to give directions. But one has to keep his heart as clean as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu kept the Guṇḍicā temple. The devotee therefore has to cleanse his heart just as the Lord cleansed the Guṇḍicā temple. In this way, one can be pacified and enriched in devotional service. If the heart is filled with straw, grains of sand, weeds of dust, in other words, Anyabhilashita Purana, one cannot enthrone the Supreme Personality of Godhead there. The heart must be cleansed of all material motives brought about through fruitive work, speculative knowledge, the mystic yoga system, and so many other forms of so-called meditation. The heart must be cleansed without ulterior motive, as Srila Rupa Goswami says, Anyabhilashita Shunyam Jnana Karmadi Anavritam. In other words, there should not be any external motive. One should not attempt material upliftment, understanding the Supreme by speculative knowledge, fruitive activities, severe austerity and penance, and so on. All these activities are against the natural growth of spontaneous love of Godhead. As soon as these are present within the heart should be understood to be unclean and therefore unfit to serve as Krishna's sitting place. We cannot perceive the Lord's presence in our hearts unless our hearts are cleansed. A material desire is explained as a desire to enjoy the material world to its fullest extent. In modern language, this is called economic development. An inordinate desire for economic development is considered to be like straws and grains of sand within the heart. If one is overly engaged in material activity, the heart will always remain disturbed, as stated by Narottam Das Thakur. Samsar Bishanale Diva Nishi Hiya Jwale Judaite Na Kainu Upay. In other words, endeavor for material opulence is against the principle of devotional service. Material enjoyment includes activities such as great sacrifices for auspicious activity, charity, austerity, elevation to the higher planetary system, and even living happily within the material world. Modernized material benefits are like the dust of material contamination. When this dust is agitated by the whirlwind of fruitive activity, it overcomes the heart. Thus, the mirror of the heart is covered with dust. There are many desires to perform auspicious and inauspicious activities, but people do not know how, life after life, they are keeping their hearts unclean. One who cannot give up the desire for fruitive activity is understood to be covered by the dust of material contamination. Karmis generally think that the interaction of fruitive activities can be counteracted by another karma or fruitive activity. This is certainly a mistaken conception. If one is deluded by such a conception, he is cheated by his own activities. Such activities have been compared to an elephant's bathing. An elephant may bathe very thoroughly, but as soon as it comes out of the river, it immediately takes some sand from the land and throws it all over his body. If one suffers due to the past fruitive activities, he cannot counteract his suffering by performing auspicious activities. The sufferings of human beings cannot be counteracted by material plans. The only way suffering can be mitigated is by Krishna consciousness. When one takes to Krishna consciousness and engages himself in the devotional service of the Lord, beginning with chanting and hearing the glories of the Lord, the cleansing of the heart begins. When the heart is actually cleansed, one can clearly see the Lord sitting there without any disturbance. In Srimad Bhagavatam 9.4.6 said, the Lord confirms that He is sitting within the heart of the pure devotee. Sadhu Hridayan Mahyam Sadhunam Hridayam Aham. Impersonal speculation, monism, that is merging into existence of the Supreme, speculative knowledge, mystic yoga and meditation are all compared to grain of sands. They simply cause irritation to the heart. No one can satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such activities, nor do we give the Lord nor do we give the Lord a chance to sit in our hearts peacefully. Rather, the Lord is simply disturbed by them. Sometimes yogis and jnanis in the beginning take to the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra as a way to begin their various practices, but when they falsely think that they have attained release from the bondage of material existence, they give up the chanting. They do not consider that the ultimate goal is the form of the Lord or the name of the Lord. Such unfortunate creatures are never favored by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, for they do not know what devotional service is. Lord Krishna describes them in the Bhagavad-Gita in this way: Tan aham devishtah kruran samsareshu naradhaman shipami ajasaram ashubhan ashuri shva eva yonishu. Those who are envious and mischievous, who are the lowest among men, are perpetually cast into the ocean of material existence, into various demoniac species of life, Bhagavad-Gita 16.19. By his practical example, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has shown us all that the grains of sand must be picked up thoroughly and thrown outside. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleansed the outside of the temple, fearing that the grains of sand would come again within. In this connection, Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains that even though one may become free from the desire for the fruitive activity, sometimes a subtle desire for fruitive activity comes again into being within the heart. One often thinks of conducting business to improve the devotional activity, but the contamination is so strong that it may later develop into some misunderstanding, described as Kutinati, fault finding, and Pratisthasha, the desire for name, fame, and for high position. Jiva Himsa, envy for the killing entities. Nishdhachara, accepting things forbidden in the Shastra. That was Nishidhachara. Nishidhachara. Kama, desire for material gain, and puja, hankering for popularity. The word Kutinati means duplicity. As an example of Pratisthasha, one may attempt to imitate Srila Haridas Thakur by living in a solitary place. One's real desire may be for name and fame. In other words, one thinks that fools will accept one to be as good as Haridas Thakur just because one lives in a solitary place. These are all material desires. A neophyte devotee is certain to be attacked by other material desires as well, namely desires for women and money. In this way, the heart is again filled with dirty things and becomes harder and harder, like that of a materialist. Gradually, one desires to become a reputed devotee for Auran Avatar, which is incarnation. The word Jiva Hamsa, envy of other living entities, actually means stopping the preaching of Krishna consciousness. Preaching work is described as paropkara, welfare activity for others. Those who are ignorant of the benefits of devotional act service must be educated by preaching. If one stops preaching and simply sits down in a solitary place, he is engaging in material activity. If one desires to make compromise with the Mayavadis, he is also engaged in material activity. A devotee should never make compromises with non-devotees. By acting as a professional guru, mystic, yogi, or miracle man, one may chant and bluff the general public and gain fame. As a wonderful mystic. But all this is considered to be dust, straw, and grains of sand within the heart. In addition, one should follow the regulative principles and not desire illicit sex, gambling, intoxicants, or meat. To give us practical instructions, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu cleansed the temple twice. His second cleansing was more thorough. The idea was to throw away all the stumbling blocks on the path of devotional service. He cleansed the temple with firm conviction, as is evident from his using his own personal garments for cleaning. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to see personally that the temple was thoroughly cleansed to the standard of clean marble. Clean marble gives a cooling effect. Devotional service means attaining peace from all the disturbance caused by the material contamination. In other words, it is the process by which the mind is cooled. The mind can be peaceful and thoroughly cleansed when one no longer desires anything but devotional service. Even though all dirty things may be cleansed away, sometimes subtle desires remain in the mind for impersonalism, monism, success, and the four principles of religious activities, namely dharma, artha, kama, and moksha. All these are like spots on clean cloth. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to cleanse all these away. By his practical activity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed us how to cleanse our heart. Once the heart is cleansed, we should invite Lord Sri Krishna to sit down, and we should observe the festival by distributing prasadam and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to teach every devotee by his personal behavior. personal responsibility rather. Everyone who spreads the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts a similar responsibility. The Lord was personally chastising and praising individuals in the course of cleansing. I'll repeat it again. By his practical activity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu informed us how to cleanse our hearts. Once the heart is cleansed, we should invite Lord Shri Krishna to sit down, and we should observe the festival by distributing prasadam and chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to teach every devotee by his personal behavior. Everyone who spreads the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepts a similar responsibility. The Lord was personally chastising and praising individuals in the course of the cleaning, and those who are engaged as acharyas must learn from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu how to train devotees by personal example. The Lord was very pleased with those who could cleanse the temple by taking out undesirable things accumulated within. This is called anartha nivritti. Cleansing the heart of all unwanted things. Thus, the cleansing of the Guṇḍicā temple was conducted by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to let us know how the heart should be cleansed and soothed to receive Lord Shri Krishna and enable him to sit within the heart without disturbance. Verse 136. Nrsimha Mandir Bhitara Bahira Shodhila Kshaneka Vishram Kari Nritya Arambhila. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also cleansed the Nrsimha temple inside and outside. Finally, he rested a few minutes and then began dancing. Purport: the Nrsimha temple is a nice temple just outside the Guṇḍicā temple. In this temple, there is great festival on the day of Nrsimha Chaturdashi. There is also Nrsimha temple at Navadvip, where the same festival is observed as described by Murari Gupta in his book Chaitanya Charita. Verse 137. Chari dike bhakta gana karena kirtana madhye nritya karena prabhu matta simha sama. All around Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the devotees performed congregational chanting. The Lord, just like a maddened lion, danced in the middle. Verse 138. Sweda kampa vevaranashyar ashru pulak hunkar nij anga dhui age chale ashrudhar. As usual, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced, there were perspiration, trembling, fading, tears, jubilations, and roaring. Indeed, the tears from his eyes washed his body and those before him. Verse 139. Chari dike bhakta anga kaila prakshana shravanera meghayena kare varishana. In this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu washed the bodies of all devotees with the tears from his eyes. The tears poured like rain, like the rains in the month of monsoon. Verse 141. Swarupera uccha gana prabhure sada bhaya anande uddanda nritya kare goraraya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu always liked the loud chanting of Sarup Damodar. Therefore, when Sarup Damodar sang, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu danced and jumped higher in jubilation. Verse 142. Emata keta kshana nritya ye kariya vishrama karila prabhu samay bujhiya. The Lord thus chanted and danced for some time. Finally, understanding the circumstances, he stopped. Verse 143. Acharya Gosanira Putra Sri Gopalanama Nritya Karite Tanre Agya Dila Goradham. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then ordered Sri Gopal, the son of Aditya Acharya, to dance. Verse 144. Prema Veshe Nritya Kari Haila Murchite Achetana Hena Tenha Padila Bhumite. While dancing in ecstatic love, Shri Gopal fainted and fell to the ground unconscious. Verse 145. Aste vyaste acharya tanre kaila kole shwasa rahite dekhi acharya haila vikale. When Shri Gopal fainted, Advaita Acharya hastily took him upon his lap. Seeing that he was not breathing, he became very much agitated. Verse 146. Nrsimera mantra padi mare jalachanti unkarira shabde brahmandaya yai pati. Advaitacharya and others began to chant the holy name of the Lord Nrsimha and sprinkle water. Then the roaring of the chant was so great that it seemed to take away the entire universe. 147 verse. Aneka karila tabu na haya chetana acharya kandena kande sabha bhaktakana. When the boy did not regain consciousness after some time, Advaitacharya and the devotees began to cry. Verse 148. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanra Buke Hastadila Utthaha Gopal Bali Uchaishware Kaila. Then Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed his hand on the chest of the Sri Gopal and loudly Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I think I've read verse 148. Tabe Mahaprabhu Tanra Buke Hastadila Utthaha Gopal Bali Uchaishware Kaila. Then Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu placed his hand on the chest of Sri Gopal and said loudly, Gopal, stand up. Verse 149. Shunitei Gopal Dera Haila Chaitana Hari Gopalitya Kare Sab Buddhi. As soon as Gopal heard the voice of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he immediately came to senses. All the devotees then began to dance, chanting the holy names of Hari. Verse 150. Ei lila varni yachena dasa vrindavana ataiva sankshepa kari karilun varnana. This incident has been described in detail by Vrindavan Das Thakur, therefore I have described it only in brief. Purport: this is a matter of etiquette. If a previous acharya has already written about something, there is no need to repeat it for personal sense gratification or to outdo the previous acharya. Unless there is some definite improvement, one should not repeat. Verse 151. Tabe Mahaprabhu Kshaneka Vishram Kariya Snan Karibare Gela Bhakta Gana Lena. After taking rest, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all the devotees departed to take their baths. Verse 152. Tire uthi parena Prabhu Shushka Vasana Nrsimha Deve Namaskari Gela Upavana. After bathing, the Lord stood on the bank of the lake and put on dry garments. After offering obeisances to Lord Nrsimhadev, whose temple was nearby, the Lord entered a garden. Verse 153. Udyane Vasila Prabhu Bhakta Gana Lena Tabhe Vaninath Ailash Mahaprasad Lena. In the garden, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sat down with other devotees. Vaninath Rai then came and brought all kinds of Mahaprasad. Verse 154 and 155, they're together. Kashi Mishra Tulsi Paricha Dui. Kashi Mishra Tulsi Paricha Dui Jana Pana Pancha shata loka yata karaye bhojana tat anna pitha pen pana sab pathaila dekhi Mahaprabhu mane santosha haila. Kashi Mishra and Tulsi, the superintendent of the temple, brought as much as prasadam as 500 men could eat. Seeing the large quantity of prasadam, they consisted of rice cakes, sweet rice and variety of vegetables. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very satisfied. Verse 156. Puri Gosani Mahaprabhu, Bharati Brahmanand, Advaita Charya R. Prabhu Nityanand. Among the devotees present with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu were Paramanand Puri, Brahmanand Bharati, Advaita Acharya and Nityanand Prabhu. Verse 157. Acharya Ratna, Acharya Nidhi, Shrivas Gadadhar, Shankar, Nandanacharya R. Raghav Vakreshwara. Acharya Ratna, Acharya Nidhi, Srinivas Thakur, Gadadhar Pandit, Shankar, Nandanacharya, Raghunath, Raghav Pandit and Vakreshwar were also present. Verse 158. Prabhu Agya Pana Vaise Apne Sarvama Pindar Upare Prabhu Vaise Lena Bhaktagana. Receiving the permission of the Lord, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya sat down. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and all his devotees sat on raised wooden seats. Verse 159. Taratale Kari Anukrama Udyana Bhari Vaise Bhakta Karite Bhojan. In this way, all the devotees sat down to take their lunch in consecutive lines, one beside the other. Verse 160. Haridas Bali Prabhu Dake Ghana Ghana Dure Rahi Haridas Kare Nivedana. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was repeatedly calling Haridas, Haridas, and at that time Haridas, standing at a distance, spoke as follows. Verse 161. Bhakta Sange Prabhu Karuna Prasad Angikar E Sange Vasite Yogya Nahi Muni Char. Haridas Thakur said, let Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu take his lunch with the devotees, since I am abominable, I cannot sit down among you. Verse 162. Pachemore Prasad Govinda Dibe Bahirvare Manajani Prabhu Punah Na Balila Tanre. Govinda will give me prasadam later outside the door. Understanding his mind, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not call him again. Verse 164 and 163 and 164. Swarup Gosani Jagadananda Damodar Kashishwara Gopinath Vaninath Shankara Pariveshana Kare Tahan Eish Sata Sat Jana Madhya Madhya Haridhvani Kare Bhaktakana. Swarup Damodar Goswami, Jagadanand, Damodar Pandit, Kashishwara, Gopinath, Vaninath and Shankar distributed prasadam, and the devotees chanted the holy names at intervals. Verse 165. Pulina Bhojana Krishna Purve Yaiche Kaila Sai lila Mahaprabhura Mane Smriti Haila. Lord Shri Krishna had previously taken his lunch in the forest, and that very pastime was remembered by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 166. Yadyapi Premaveshe Prabhu Haila Sthira Samay Bhujiya Prabhu Haila Kichu Dhira. Just by remembering the pastimes of Lord Shri Krishna, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was agitated by ecstatic love, but considering the time and circumstance, he remained somewhat patient. Verse 167. Prabhu kahe mora deha lafra vyanjane pitha pana amrit gutika deha bhakta gane. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, you can give me the ordinary vegetable known as lafra vyanjana, and you may deliver to all the devotees better preparations like cakes, sweet rice and amrit gutika. Purport: lafra vyanjana is a combination of several green vegetables all mixed together. It is often mixed with rice and delivered to poor men. Amrit gutika is a preparation of thick puri mixed with condensed milk. It is also known as amrit rasavali. Verse 168. Sarvajana Prabhu Janena Yandre Ye Bhaye Tandre Se Dyoyaye Swarup Dwaraye. Since Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is omniscient, he knew what types of preparations each person liked. He therefore had Swarup Damodar deliver these preparations to each devotee to his full satisfaction. Verse 169. Jagadananda Bedaya Pariveshana Karite Prabhura Pate Bhal Dravya Dena Achambite. Jagadananda went to distribute prasadam, and suddenly he placed all the first-class preparations on the plate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 170. Yadyapi dile Prabhu tanre karena rosha bale chale tabu dena dile e santosha. When such nice prasadam was put out on the plate of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the Lord was outwardly very angry. Nonetheless, when the preparations were placed on his plate, sometimes by tricks and sometimes by force, the Lord was satisfied. Verse 171. Punarapi se dravya kare nirikshana Tandra bhai Prabhu kichu karena bhakshana. When the food was thus delivered, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu looked at it for some time. Being afraid of Jagdananda, he finally ate something. Verse 172. Na khaile Jagdananda karibe upavas Tandra age kichu kahana mane etras. The Lord knew that if he did not eat the food offered by Jagdananda, Jagdananda would certainly fast. Being afraid of this, Lord Chaitanya ate some of the prasadam he offered. Verse 173. Swarup Goswami bhal mishta prasad lena Prabhu ke nivedan kare aage dandana. Swarup Damodar Goswami then brought some excellent sweetmeats and standing before the Lord offered them to him. Verse 174. E Mahaprasad alpa kara aswadan dekha Jagannath kaiche karyachena bhojana. Swarup Damodar Goswami then said, just take a little of this Mahaprasad and see how it is that Lord Jagannath has accepted it. Verse 175. Eta bali age kichu kare samarpan tandra snehe Prabhu kichu karena bhojan. Upon saying this, Swarup Damodar Goswami placed some food before the Lord, and the Lord, out of affection, ate it. Verse 176. E mata dui jana kare bar bar vichitra e dui bhaktira sneha vyavhar. Swarup Damodar and Jagannatha again and again offered the Lord some food. Thus they behaved affectionately with the Lord. This was very, very uncommon. Verse 177. Sarvabhaume Prabhu Vasanchena Vamapashe Dui Bhaktira Sneha Dekhi Sarvabhaume Hase. The Lord made Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya sit on his left side, and then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya saw the behavior of Lord Swarup Damodar and Jagadananda. He smiled. Verse 178. Sarvabhaume Dhyana Prabhu Prasad Uttama Sneha Kari Bar Bar Karana Bhojan. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also wanted to offer Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya first-class food. Therefore, out of affection, he had the servers put first-class food on his plate again and again. Verse 179. Gopinathacharya Uttam Mahaprasad Ani Sarvabhaume Diya Kahe Sumadhur Vani. Gopinathacharya also brought first-class food and offered it to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya while speaking sweet words. Verse 180. Kaha Bhattacharya Purva Jada Vyavhara Kaha e Paramanandan Karaha Vichar. After serving the Bhattacharya with first-class prasadam, Gopinathacharya said, just consider that the Bhattacharya's previous mundane behavior was, just consider how at present he is enjoying transcendental bliss. Purport: Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was previously a smart Brahman, that is, one who strictly follows the Vedic principles on the mundane platform. On the mundane platform, one cannot believe that prasadam is transcendental, that Govinda is the original form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, or that a Vaishnava is a liberated person. These transcendental considerations are out of the ordinary Vedic scholars' jurisdiction. Most Vedic scholars are called Vedantists. These so-called followers of Vedanta philosophy consider the absolute truth to be impersonal. They also believe that the person born in a particular caste cannot change his caste until he dies and takes rebirth. The smart Brahmins also reject the fact that Mahaprasadam, that is the food offered to the deity, is transcendental and materially uncontaminated. Originally, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was subjected to all the rules and regulations of the Vedic principles on the mundane platform. Now, Gopinathacharya pointed out how Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had been converted by the causeless mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Being converted, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya partook of prasadam with the Vaishnavas. Indeed, he sat by the side of the Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 181. Sabham kahe ami tarkika kubudhi tomar prasade mor e sampat siddhi. Sabham Bhattacharya replied to Gopinath Acharya, I was simply a less intelligent logician, but by your grace I have received this opulence of perfection. Verse 182. Mahaprabhu vina keha nahi dayamay kakere garuda kare aiche kaun hai. But for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sabham Bhattacharya continued, who is so merciful? He has converted a crow into a Garuda. Who could be so merciful? Verse 183. Tarkika Shrigal Sange Bhyu Bhyu Kari Se Mukhe Ebe Sada Kahi Krishna Kari Hari. In the association of the jackals known as logicians, I simply continued to bark a resounding bhew bhew. Now from the same mouth I am chanting the holy names Krishna and Hari. Verse 184. Kaha bahirmukh tarkik shishya gana sange kaha e sang sudha samudra tarange. Whereas I once associated with the disciples of logic, all non-devotees, I am now merged in the waves of nectarian ocean of the association of devotees. Purport as Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur explains, the word Bahirmukhi Mukha refers to a person who is very busy tasting material enjoyment. Such a person always poses himself as an enjoyer of the external energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Being attracted by external opulence, the non-devotee always forgets his intimate relationship with Krishna. Such a person does not like the idea of becoming Krishna conscious. This is explained by Srila Prahlad Maharaj in Srimad Bhagavatam, 7th canto, 5th chapter, verse 30 and 31. Matir na Krishne paratah swato va mitho abhipadyeta priha ratanam adant gobhir vishatam tamishram punha punash charvit charvananam nate viduhu swarth gatim hi vishnum durashay ye bahir arth maninah andha yathandher upanimanas te pisha tantrayam urudamni baddhaha. Materialists who are overly attracted to the material body, material world, and material enjoyment, who cannot control their material senses, are carried to the darkest regions of material existence. Such people cannot become Krishna conscious, either by themselves or by congregational effort. Such people do not understand that the goal of life for a human being is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vishnu. A human life is especially meant for this purpose, and one has to go through all kinds of penances and austerities and set aside the propensity for sense gratification. Materialists always remain blind because they are always guided by blind rascals. A materialistic person considers himself free to act as he likes. He does not know that he is rigidly controlled by the stringent laws of nature, nor does he know that he has to transmigrate from one body to another and perpetually rot in material existence. Such rascals and foolish people are lured by the prayers of their foolish leaders for sense gratification, and they cannot understand what is meant by Krishna consciousness. The material world exists outside the spiritual sky, and a foolish materialist cannot estimate the extent of this material sky. What then can he know of the spiritual sky? Materialists simply believe their imperfect senses and do not take instructions from the revealed scriptures. According to Vedic civilization, one has to see through the authority of the revealed scriptures, Shastra Chakshu. One should see everything through the medium of the Vedic literature. In this way, one can distinguish between the spiritual world and the material world. Those who ignore such instructions cannot be convinced of the existence of the spiritual world because they have forgotten their spiritual identity. Such materialists take this material world as the all in all. They are therefore called Bahirmukha. Verse 185. Prabhu kahe purve siddha Krishne tomar priti tuma sange ama sabar Haile Krishnamati, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, from your previous birth you have been in Krishna consciousness. Thus you love Krishna so much that simply by your association we are all developing Krishna consciousness. Verse 186, Bhakta Mahima Badaite Bhakte Sukha Dite Mahaprabhu Vina Anya Nahi Tri Jagate. Thus there is no one within these three worlds save for Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is always so willing to increase the glories of the devotees and give them satisfaction. Purport: in this regard, one should consult the discussion between Kapil Dev and Devahuti on the subject matter of devotional service. This is found in Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto. Verse 187, Tabe Prabhure Pratyeke Sab Bhaktera Naam Lena Pitha Pena Pana Deo Yaila Prasad Kariya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then took all the remnants of food offered to Jagannath, such as cakes and sweet rice, and distributed them to all other devotees, calling them individually. Verse 188, Advaita Nityananda Vasiyachena Ekathani Dui Jane Krida Kalah Lagila Pathai. Sri Advaitacharya and Nityananda Prabhu sat side by side, and when prasadam was being distributed, they engaged in a type of mock fighting. Verse 189, Advaita kahe abdhu tera sange ek pankti bhojan karilu na jani habe kaun gati. First Advaitacharya said, I am sitting in line with an unknown mendicant, and because I am eating with him, I do not know what kind of destination is waiting for me. Verse 190, Prabhuta sannyasi unhar nahi apachaya an doshe sannyasira dosha nahi haya. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the renounced order of life. Consequently, he does not recognize his discrepancies. As a matter of fact, a sannyasi is not affected by eating food from anywhere and everywhere. Verse 191, Nana doshena maskari ei shastra pramana amita grihastha brahmana amar doshasthan. According to the Shastra, there is no discrepancy in a sannyasi's eating at another's house, but for a householder Brahman, this kind of eating is faulty. Verse 192, Janma kula shirachar na jani yahar tar sange ek pankti bada anachar. It is not proper for householders to dine with those whose previous birth, family, character and behavior are unknown. Verse 193, Nityananda kahe tumi Advaita Acharya Advaita Siddhante badhe shuddha bhakti karya. Nityananda Prabhu immediately refuted Sri Chaitanya Advaita Acharya, saying, you are a teacher of impersonal monism, and the monistic conclusion is a great hindrance to progressive, pure devotional service. So we'll continue from verse 194 next time. Thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna.